You probably have heavy metal toxicity and you don't even know it. These metals are in our environment, they're in our food supply, they're in the air, they're often in our mouth, they're often in shots that we take. I don't take them, but other people do. And these things accumulate over time and they can be like a piano on your back. You're walking around with this heavy weight, this burden on your health, and you don't even know it. This is a situation that mainstream medicine does not address unless it's some acute lead toxicity or poisoning or something of that nature. But oftentimes these heavy metals are chronic. They're chronically in your system, lurking around, stuck in your fat cells, stuck in your liver, stuck in your brain. And unfortunately, because they have such a high affinity for brain tissue and nerve tissue, by the way, they're called neurotoxins, right? Nerve toxins. Well, they're going to create some really heavy-duty problems, and you could be having these symptoms right now and not even know that it's heavy metal toxicity. Maybe you're blaming it on something else, and that's not the problem. Well, let's dive in today and let's uncover, first of all, what are the key sources of these heavy metals? Which heavy metals are the most common offenders? And what are the symptoms that heavy metal toxicity can cause? And last of all, what do you do about it? Let's talk about some of the most common heavy metals, the heavy hitters. One is mercury. Mercury is very poisonous. We're told not to play with it, right? And back in the day, if you're older like me, if you're an old guy and you broke a thermometer, you're not supposed to touch the mercury, right? It is, it's toxic, right? It's a nerve toxin. Where do we get mercury? Well, shots, fillings. So if you have a silver or dark colored filling, there's mercury in it. Those spiral shaped light bulbs that are supposed to be environmentally friendly, well, don't break one of those. And if you do, hold your breath, open up the window and get out of the house and go in with some type of a mask and clean it up very quickly and carefully, because those are toxic and loaded with mercury. Aluminum is another toxic metal that's very common to be exposed to. We drink out of aluminum cans, we eat out of cans. Aluminum is in antiperspirant deodorant. It's in table salt as an anti-caking agent. It's also in commercial American cheese. It makes it melt real nice on that burger. Then we have lead that we're often exposed to from hair dye, newspaper ink, lead pipes, lead paint in old houses. And lastly, arsenic. Arsenic is contained in groundwater. It's in commercial chicken because they use arsenic instead of antibiotics at times to kill the bacteria that the chickens are exposed to, but we're ingesting the chickens which are exposed and absorb that arsenic. It's also in brown rice of all things, even organic brown rice. What are the symptoms of heavy metal toxicity? Well, when you're dealing with an acute metal toxicity, you're going to have nausea, vomiting, chills, you might have a temperature. I mean, that's where you just suddenly got exposed, or you just got a severe exposure over a short period of time typically. That's where you want to go to the emergency room and get that addressed. But what we're talking about for purposes of this video, and what I would say 90% of the patients that I have seen have, it's a chronic heavy metal toxicity. And those symptoms would be mood issues and brain fog, a lot of depression and or anxiety, and a foggy head. That's really, really common. Low energy is another big one. Difficulty losing weight is a third one, because those heavy metals get stuck in the fat cells and the body wants to keep them there because they're toxic, so you won't lose weight. A sluggish bowel or constipation is another very, very common symptom of heavy metal toxicity. So why do these heavy metals accumulate in our body? What causes this? Well, number one, it's exposure. And unfortunately, we live on a toxic planet. We are exposed to heavy metals, chemicals on a regular basis, much more than ever before. And we have to contend with that. So we have to educate ourselves with what sources of these heavy metals are affecting us and minimize our exposure. And I'm going to drop a free report on sources of heavy metals and chemicals, which you can take a look at. Just check it out in the description below. But anyways, it's in our environment, and we have to minimize that exposure. But the other thing we have to do is we have to keep our mineral levels where they need to be. Because when we are mineral deficient, what happens is the body will hold on to some of these heavy metals in our system because it's kind of the next best thing to a mineral. So the body will look at it, well, if I don't have good zinc, copper, magnesium, and all that good mineral support that I need to make my body function properly, then I'm going to hold on to that mercury or aluminum because it's the next best thing to that zinc, copper, or potassium that my body needs. Most of us are deficient in minerals, and we are deficient in minerals. It opens up the door to a lot of chronic health issues and toxicities, like I'm mentioning. So why are we deficient in minerals? Well, because our food supply doesn't contain minerals that we need. The soil has been depleted in the United States of most trace minerals since 1948, believe it or not, because of improper farming methods, and we can get into a whole topic on that, and I have other videos that I touch on this, but the bottom line is the food supply doesn't have what we need. It's worse than you think, I'm sorry to say. So you need to supplement with whole food supplements, and we'll get into that in a second, but that's why you're deficient. So we got to get those mineral levels to optimal levels, so then the body won't hold on to these metals like they do, because they think, oh, it's the next best thing to potassium or zinc, so I'm going to hold on to that. There's another concept you have to understand. There is organic minerals and inorganic minerals. For example, iron is in organic form in red meat, but in an iron pan, that is an inorganic or dead form. The organic is living, inorganic is dead. So there's a big difference between iron in organic form, which our body loves, and the inorganic form, which our body really can't utilize and can be toxic. It's basically a heavy metal. So if we can get our organic mineral levels up to optimal from getting as much as we can from our diet, but also from supplementing with a whole food multi-mineral supplement, which I'll get into, then that puts us in a great position to be able to detoxify these heavy metals, but also prevent them from reaccumulating. Because remember, I mentioned the body's going to say, ooh, I like that aluminum or mercury because I don't have any calcium, potassium, or magnesium in my system, so that's the next best thing. So I'm going to hold on to that and try and utilize it because it'll do something. It'll work, to some degree. Obviously, we don't want our body working in a half-assed manner, right? We want it working optimally. So you got to get those mineral levels up, and then that puts us in a position where we can detoxify what has accumulated heavy metal-wise in our system. And the good thing about it is you can get those mineral levels up while you're detoxifying the metals and getting them out. One of the reasons why I have such an interest in heavy metal toxicity and have treated many cases over the past couple decades that I've been seeing patients, and I've probably seen over 100,000 patients in my career. Not all of them have heavy metal toxicity, but I would say a large percentage did. But I personally dealt with this. I had the brain fog, I had the irritability, I had the blah feelings, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It was like it wasn't me, the being or the spirit that felt that way. It was like my body was weighing me down. My elimination system wasn't working like it should, and I just didn't have the energy. I just had to push through life, and it took me about 1 to 2 years to really get these out of my system at a deep level. And once I got them out, the light switch turned on. And if I get a current exposure somewhere, because you really can't avoid these things, but low grade exposure, if I go on a trip and I'm exposed in an airport to jet fuel, and these heavy metals and chemicals are everywhere, I will feel a little blah for a day or two, or a little low in energy, but then I get on some of the products I'm going to recommend and it takes it right out and I'm good to go. My favorite product for heavy metal toxicity is Chelaco. This is from MediHerb Company, which is the sister company of Standard Process. This product chelates or surrounds the heavy metal. That's what it does. It has milk thistle, hawthorn, and garlic bulb in it. And it's been found through research that it's very good at surrounding and taking these out of the system, out of your tissues, out of your cells, out of the fat cells. Stubborn weight loss, anyone? Well, heavy metal toxicity is often a cause, but it will take these out into the bowel to be safely removed. I like this product also because these herbs are drainage herbs. They're drainage remedies. They keep the channels of elimination open. What you don't want is to move these metals out of the cells and into the body, and then they just recirculate. You want to be able to eliminate them. And that's where Chelaco, with the chelation combined with the drainage, will help process these out safely through the bowel. Now, simultaneously, you can get those mineral levels up, like I mentioned. And there are two products that I recommend. And you can do either one, or you can take both. The first one is Trace Minerals B12. And understand the B12 is not the main attraction with this supplement. It just happens to be, there's a small amount of it in here. It's the trace minerals. These are those small minerals, these micro minerals where we need very small amounts, and we just don't get them in our diet because the soil is depleted. What they do now is when they fertilize crops, they put NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, 3 minerals. That's it. And that'll grow a nice, beautiful looking ear of corn, tomato, squash, whatever. But, what is it worth? It doesn't have chromium, vanadium, zinc, copper, and some of these trace minerals that we need in a small level. So this Trace Minerals B12 is going to supply you with these trace minerals that you're not going to get in your diet. It's going to help raise those mineral levels, so that way we can sort of shut the door to these heavy metals being accumulated in your body. Another product I like is Easy Mag. This is a newer product by Standard Process. Been around the last 5 to 10 years. And yes, it's high in magnesium, and it's the only whole food magnesium product that I know of on the market. But it also has a lot of different minerals in it, trace minerals, because it has a whole food blend to it. You're getting magnesium, you're getting potassium, but you're also getting the, quote, oddball trace minerals that most people haven't heard of that we need in our diet. And there are dozens of these. But when you properly grow crops with nutrient-rich soil, that's going to translate into the crop. And you eat the crop, you're going to get those mineral levels. If I was Standard Process, I would consider renaming Easy Mag to Mineral Complex Ultimate Supplement or something like that. I don't know, I'm just off the cuff here, but get the point. This is like a multi-mineral as well. So you can take the Trace Minerals B12, typically 1 to 2 a day I find is fine for that product. The Easy Mag, you need 3 to 4 a day typically, and I think 6 is a serving size on the bottle, but 3 to 4 a day is going to get you what you need. You just have to give it some time. You need to take a couple bottles to really amp your mineral levels up, and then you have to maintain that. I personally don't know a better way to keep your mineral levels up than these two products. Let me give you one more clinical pearl that I found very beneficial when someone's undergoing heavy metal detoxification. What it is taking this product, Fen Cho, especially when you are not a daily eliminator, okay? If you have a sluggish bowel, you don't want that, because basically when you're going through heavy metal toxicity detox program, you are going to be reaccumulating those heavy metals if you're not eliminating them on a daily basis. It'll just get reabsorbed in the bloodstream. So Fen Cho has a couple herbs in it and some biosalts which help with the peristalsis, the motion or muscular movement of the colon, to eliminate properly. And the biosalts help actually break down fats and detoxify the colon and have sort of a laxative effect, but in a natural way. So this isn't a long-term product, but it's a short-term product. You can take it, 3 months at a time or periodically if you need to. Fen Cho, it's a really good one, and it's cheap. It's very inexpensive, so check it out and consider adding it to the Chelaco and your trace minerals. So you may have listened to a lot of this video and questioned, hey, do I have heavy metal toxicity? Well, what I can tell you is if you have those symptoms that I mentioned, then it's highly likely that you do, and it doesn't hurt to go through detox program that I'm recommending here and see how you feel. And if you feel much better, which most likely you probably will, then you quite likely did have some heavy metal toxicity. Sure, you can do different tests. Blood tests are not very accurate for heavy metals. You can do urine spot tests. You can do hair mineral analysis. I have specific procedures in my clinic that I use, but the person has to be in clinic so I can test them through kinesiology or muscle testing. I have specific vials with homeopathic preparations of these metals that are very safe and easy to test patients to see where they are lurking in their body. So if you're interested and you want to know more about that, let me know. Or if you're in the Cleveland, Ohio area, feel free to come in and get evaluated. But you can always email me. My email's in the description below if you have more questions on this, and maybe I can source a practitioner for you in your area. In closing, I'd just like to let you know, and this is important, heavy metal detox programs are a process over time for most cases. It's not as simple as do a 15-day juice fast and you cleared all the metals out of your system. It just doesn't work that way. And I assure you, I'm an expert in this field. I've probably helped detox thousands of cases at this point with a lot of different heavy metals, especially mercury, aluminum, lead, and arsenic. And it is a process. It usually takes a month to get one of those out. So you might be doing this for a year or longer. Just be patient with it. If you need support, let me know. But it's just a process of getting your mineral levels up and then taking the Chelaco for a long period of time, which you can. It's fine. It's also a great anti-aging product. I mean, those herbs, hawthorn, milk thistle, and garlic, there's gobs of research on the benefits for many, many different health conditions. Cardiovascular health, liver health, cholesterol help, etc. But they're also great chelators. So check out my next video. Hope this was beneficial for you. Have a great one.